Making money can be kind of a tricky situation sometimes, especially when you're trying to deal with real estate, selling off properties in upcoming places that maybe could potentially become the next Disneyland, the next Universal Studios, and usually this is made a little easier when you make pacts with the devil, when a demon is interested in their very land. And I have a story just for that, alright? This is another tale from the Hellraiser comic book, and this one actually deals with a lady trying to buy some real estate from this very secluded man out in this empty, vapid farmland. And what may seem like a good proposition ends up just being kind of a bad situation. Kind of more a Norman Bates situation, if you will. You know, this woman is actually a very good deal maker, and I think the ending will actually surprise you all. Now, this one is called The Warm Red, and the art style in this is very different from the first two that we've done. Every one of these stories, the artwork is different, and that is what makes these so great, is the different writers, the different artists that all come in to make one of these books. And this is particularly one of the better ones in this first issue of the 1989 Hellraiser comic book. And it all starts off with this lady sitting in a bar next to this man, and they're kind of conversing about buying some land, trying to sell, trying to make that next big win, baby. And whether it'll work or whether it won't is kind of up to her, and really all just kind of lies on a charisma check, if you will. But they're both just kind of sitting at this table, and this man saying, "I'm telling you, it's the deal of the decade. You cannot lose." And she says, "So why sell it to me? Why not grab it for yourself?" Very skeptical on why this man's so passionate about selling her this land. She doesn't know if she's being played or if this is the next big pump and dump situation, but she knows that there may be a possibility of big riches in this. And this man, he lights his cigarette. He says, "Are you kidding me? I've got a 6-figure income to protect. One shot of my name on any deed within 50 miles of this project, and zip, I might as well turn in my mouse ears." This kind of makes me wonder if this man is a participant in Disney World or something. He seems like a big land developer. Maybe he owns a couple fractions of the Mighty Mouse himself. But she is yet again super skeptical on this. She says, "You're sure of your information?" And he says, "I got the green light this morning. We're doing it." And you know, she wants a money back guarantee. She wants to make sure that no matter what, her bets are bolstered and that she can always come out the winner. And this man is just kind of trying to persuade her. He says, "Well, if you're not interested, surely I can just go to the next person." And what do you know? She says, "Sit down, alright? Of course I want it. I just want to make sure that my bets are assured. A little bit of insurance, as you will." And they both end up taking a drink, and he says, "It's a done deal. We're talking major acreage for the park itself. More than Anaheim, more than Orlando. Then you add motels, restaurants, prices are gonna hit the moon." And she just says, "Where?" That's the $100 question, isn't it? And she pulls out a big wad of money out of her purse and lays it down on the table, and she's saying, "Half now, half when the property's sold. Contingent on a 500% return on any of my net investments." And he's like, That's not the deal, alright? You just give me the money, you have the land." And she basically says, "No, alright? You're not gonna screw me. I'm a passionate woman, I'm a strong woman." And she's saying, "That's my deal. Call it insurance against loose lips." And he hands her this little map to this old farmland, and she actually heads out there. And as she's walking over this barbed wire fence that you'll see to come, the map almost gets lost, alright? It gets torn against some barbed wire, and she's saying, "Slick move, Maureen. If you're going to shell out 50 grand for a stupid map, you better learn to hang on to it. That's it. The place that's going to make little Maureen a millionaire, or a good percentage of one at least. One ramshackle farmhouse and a few hundred acres of stony ground that's about to be worth its weight in Mickey bucks." And once again, I'm starting to think these people are trying to develop for Disneyland, or Disney itself. It's very interesting. And suddenly you see somebody looking out from this window down at her. You see her standing in this field, and it says, "We're watching her, of course." And she goes up, and a man peers his face from within. "What do you need? Just leave me alone." "Oh, you surprised me. I didn't even knock." And suddenly we cut to this panel where it shows a woman's arms strapped up in a black room. She has beautiful hands. Long, pampered hands. And she asks me, may I come into your humble abode? May I possibly have a word with you, sir?" She says, "My name is Maureen Endicott. You must be Brian Rhodes, right?" And this man is kind of taken aback. He doesn't know how she knows her name, but she simply just states, it's just a matter of record. Nothing to be too suspicious about. "This was a nice house once. You haven't kept it up too well, have you?" And he instantly tells her, "I think you should leave." She's fondling with this box on this mantle. And what it is the actual Leviathan box once again. Now, I don't know if there's multiple multiples of these boxes, or if it's able to be in multiple places at once. But some of these time periods in these books seem to be very close, so I'm not sure how this thing's being passed across the different countries, to different nations. This box definitely knows how to get around. And she's trying to keep this man at bay. She says, "I'm sorry, that was rude, please don't throw me out yet." And the man's just kind of darting around, he seems very anxious. He's saying, "It ain't proper, us being here alone." And she picks up this box and she says, "Surely I'm safe," as she's following this thing around. Cut to another panel where you see another arm strapped up in a black room. And suddenly this man grabs the box from her. "My mother was old. You're not like her. You're very pretty." And she kind of giggles to herself and she's thinking, "You're lucky she's not around to hear you say that. I don't think she'd be too flattered." And he says, "Don't be stupid. She's dead. How could she hear?" And she just kind of brushes it off. She says, "Of course, well, I'm flattered anyway. Thank you." And suddenly she's reaching down and she's rubbing her fishnet legs. And she says, "The fact is, Brian, it's been a long time since anybody called me pretty. These days, I'm more frequently referred to as a handsome woman, and usually by some beer gut in a cheap suit trying to split my commission." And it says her skin is smooth but pale. It wants a drop of color. And another black panel, we're shown a leg, alright? It's tied up, and you can see that there's now a scratch mark in it, and blood is slowly trickling down her leg. Something is very off here. And you're starting to think, maybe Brian is more of a Norman, if you get my gist. And he offers her a glass of lemonade, and she accepts, alright? She accepts. She's trying to just make this man at ease. And she says, "How's the farming, Brian?" And he says, "It's been dry. I know. The whole state's ready to dry up and blow away. What about the cattle? How many head did you bring to market this year?" And he says none. And it cuts to another panel way off in the distance where you just see a rotting cow head. This man has been here a long time on his own. You can tell that this place is in shambles and that this man has just been kind of staying in his house. He's a bit of a hermit, and obviously something may be very off here. And he says none, and she's very sorry about this. But really what she wants is she just wants to get to the main deal of it. She just wants to buy this property, and so she's going to keep trying to loosen this man up. She takes another drink of this lemonade and she's saying, "I think I could help you, Brian. I think I could get you a good price for this place, the house and the land." And he's kind of interested in this. He says, "How much?" And she says, "Maybe 10,000 for the house. The land, I don't know. As much as 300 an acre, maybe with luck. I'm not making any promises I could get that much. It's a matter of finding the right buyers, parceling it out. Of course, I could buy it myself right now, all of it, for a little less." And Brian is sweating, alright? He thinks this is a good deal, but there's very obviously something here that's tying him to this house. Something that maybe he is hiding in the depths of the basement or the attic. So I myself would say the barn, alright? The barn's very open. It's very open for activities. But I digress, alright? This is Brian's situation, and I'm gonna stay out of it, even though myself, I am a Bryant. And she says, "But you may not want to sell it all. Maybe when you and your girlfriend get married, you'll want a little." And he says, "I don't have a girlfriend, alright?" And this is the real ticker. She now knows that maybe she can seduce this man into agreeing for him to sell his land, and this is the kind of thing that she is good at, alright? She takes this ice cube and she starts rubbing it on the cleavage of her shirt, and you can see this lemonade pouring down her breasts, and this man is getting very agitated. He puts his hands up on his head, and you can tell that he is very, very frustrated right now. He's trying to hold off some kind of feeling, some kind of thought, but she just keeps playing into this. And she says, "Really? Why not? A fine, strong boy like you?" And he says, "Women don't like me much. You should go. I don't want my money. I don't want anything." And she says, "Brian, I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything. It's just..." And we cut to another black panel, and suddenly you see this lady laying down naked on this table, and this is one of the more dirty ones. There's a lot of nudity in this one. There's a lot of sexual tension in this one. Reminds me of a Norman Bates situation where this man knows, he needs to get this lady out of here before Mama comes into play. A tiny sound, a rasp, a hiss, and a warm red flows over the cool white. So lovely. So lovely. And Maureen puts her hands on the sides of Brian's head, and he closes his eyes, and it says, her hands smooth, white, cool. "I like you, Brian. I think you're very attractive." And she starts stripping her clothes off, and Brian's thinking, this is wrong. Mother wouldn't enjoy this. And she says, "Oh, Brian." As she sets down her clothes on this table, she is now in nothing but some lingerie, and she says, "What's wrong about it? We weren't going to do anything that hasn't been done before." And she's taking off her bra, and she's just kind of playing into this nervousness of this man. She can tell he's been alone out here for a long, long time. And she says, "You have done this before, haven't you?" Cut to another black panel, and you see a bloody scalpel knife, alright? These are Brian's thoughts. These are the things that are running in his mind that he can't hold at bay. And it says, "Yes, he has. And she says, it's so hot. I feel woozy. And suddenly she's falling down. She falls into the table, onto the ground, and she is passed out. And you just see Brian sitting in this table, and he says, I said you should leave. I said you should. And you see him carrying up the stairs, nude, up to the top bedroom, and suddenly you see the Leviathan box starting to glow in the corner. And now Maureen is strapped to this bed, alright, and it says, I've been waiting for you to wake up. And she says, you drugged me, you son of a bitch. And she's kind of just freaking out and flaying on this bed, obviously. And he says, it's your fault. You made me feel that way. Now there's nothing to do but let the things run their course. You're looking at my scars. They're old. I've had them for many years, ever since, and it shows his chest all cut up, and then it shows a picture of this old lady with a giant razor blade knife, and it's his mom, and she says, lie down, Brian, on the bed, and then it shows Brian holding the box up to his eye, and it says, ever since before I found this box. I told you to go. I have to bring him here now. You should have left when I said. And he starts tinkering around with it, and you're seeing this box open up wide, and we all know what comes next.
The box. You opened it. We came.
Maureen is thrashing around on this bed. She's freaking out. She says, what is that? What is that thing? What are you doing? And he says, you'll see. And suddenly a new Cenobite appears out of this, and his name is Face. He is a more human-looking Cenobite, and he's actually a very interesting man, alright? Instead of taking people with him, he has this Brian guy kind of assemble these people so they can murder them together, so we can get away from the likes of hell for just a little bit and have a bit of fun. It says, the man's tortured, withering flesh is beginning to bore me. His mind is gone, incinerated in the endless repetition of death and rebirth, blessed oblivion and dreadful awakenings. But now I feel the electric heat of the call. Praise Leviathan! Soon now I will enjoy a brief respite from the tedium of hell. And suddenly you see this man Face caressing Brian's face. He says, don't worry, my friend. We have time enough to finish before I leave. And Brian finishes off the puzzle box, and this man is free. He's standing in holy glory, and he is ready to claim what is his. The disillusion of my own flesh delights me. The chaos of cellular agitation, the cacophony of life, is replaced with the pure mathematical orbits of electrons, the harmony of crystal, the sweet music of subatomic spheres. And Maureen, once again, is just freaking out on this bed. She has no idea what she's just walked into. She thought she was just here to make some money. She thought she was just gonna seduce this man into selling his land. It's been a long wait, Brian. My absence and excusability prolonged. One might think I wasn't welcome. And he knows that maybe Brian has been secluding himself away from people, trying to stay away from these facets of murder and torture to keep this man at bay. I materialize. The woman sees me and begins to scream uncontrollably. You've kept me waiting a long time. I can see you, you know, from the other side. You've had opportunities. And Brian just kind of starts apologizing. He knows he's fucked up. He knows that he should have brought this man out sooner. But Brian's mind has been deteriorating, alright? He's kind of losing his sanity. He's done this one too many times, and he's seen the other side just a little too much. And Brian holds up the scalpel, and Face just kind of thinks to himself, always the scalpel. Brian is a creature of habit. And as Brian's going down to start cutting Maureen on the bed, she's screaming, please, please! And he just says, shush, there is nothing to do about it now. I told you to leave and you didn't. Face is here now and it's too late. And Maureen gets an idea. She says, Face, please, just listen. Whoever, whatever you are, just listen to me. And Brian doesn't want any of this, alright? He just wants to be done with this. He says, no time for talk. Time to work. And Maureen says, no, please, Face, I'll make you a deal. And Face actually says, wait, Brian, go ahead, I'm listening. And this is where Maureen kicks into action. She's actually a very cool character, and something I'd actually like to see, you know, maybe a TV series full of all these different short stories. They could do it just the same way of Tales of the Crypt or The Twilight Zone, and I think it would make for a really good show, you know. I'm really surprised that Shudder hasn't capitalized on this yet. And she says, it's about your partner. He's a nobody. He's what we call a loser. He lives all alone, away from town, away from everybody, keeps to himself. It's a wonder he ever gets anybody up to this dump. And Brian's like, oh shit. This is not good for me. Shut up or I'll. And he's just freaking out, and Maureen just keeps going on her spiel. She says, you'll what, kill me? And Face touches Brian's shoulder and he says, let her finish. This place is going to be big, really big. 2 years from now, it'll be swarming with more people than that lamb brain can count. They can be yours, Face, I promise it. I don't know how, but I'll find a way. They'll all be yours. And Brian is just ecstatic, alright? He's saying, don't listen to her, Face. She's lying. Don't listen to her. And Maureen knows that she's on the path for greatness. She looks at Brian and she's just kind of smirking and she says, oh, I got this. You said it yourself. He's missed opportunities. He's weak, Face. I'm strong. He doesn't know where he's going, what he wants. I've got plans, ambitions, and I can deliver what you need. You need a partner who's a winner. Don't saddle yourself up with a loser. He's nothing less than nothing. And Brian's just screaming in the back, just shut up, shut up, shut up, please. This can't happen. I know what this man does to people, and I can't have this be turned around on me. And she says, let me take his place. I'll do more for you than he's ever dreamed of doing. And Brian says, she's lying. It's a trick to make us let her go. Don't believe her, Face. And Face just kind of looks at him, and he knows that this man has been slacking, and he knows that this woman does mean what she wants. And he says that. He says, I think she means what she says, Brian. And Brian just looks at him sweating, and he's just like, Face, please. He knows that he's starting to become on the wrong side of this entire situation. And Face grabs him by the neck and he says, goodbye, Brian. It's been fun, but not nearly enough. And this is where you see how cruel these Cenobites can be. They really don't care about anybody. They just want people to fulfill their part of destiny, to bring them what is theirs, and to abide by the contracts that they fulfill when they open up this Leviathan box. And suddenly it is Brian strapped up on the bed, and he is losing his mind, alright? He knows what's gonna happen, and Face just says, I didn't kill him, of course. I couldn't take Maureen's assurance at face value. After all, many things are promised under duress that cannot be delivered in reality. For Brian, it will be a return to his childhood, which is kind of just the sad part of all this. Brian was pretty much tortured as a kid by his mom. She cut up his chest and things like that and just kind of taught him some very naughty lessons. But he also says this is a test for Maureen, an audition if you will. I told her to use her imagination, to have fun with the role, and you see Maureen grabbing these knives and things, and she's starting to smile. She's about to get her revenge, and it doesn't really seem like she's too bothered by her new proposition, her new work role. He begs, but she ignores him, studying his body carefully. Always the hardest part is deciding where to begin. It's good that she's so meticulous. She's made her decision. Let's see what she does. And that is the end of the story, The Warm Red. I thought it was very good. I thought it was very interesting. There seems to be a lot of draws. I'm guessing that they kind of got this from Psycho. The character of Brian seems a lot like Norman Bates, as I keep saying. And I think it's very apt, you know? I think him sitting in his house all alone, just kind of waiting for people to stroll up, how he's been slacking to kill these people because he doesn't exactly want this, but he kind of has to, alright? There's something not going right in his mind. And the difference between him and Norman Bates is that this guy actually has a true demon kind of goading him into doing these things. And I thought it was just a neat idea to have this lady, this realtor trying to sell this land, trying to buy this land, and how she actually makes the ultimate deal with the demon itself. She's kind of like the ultimate talker, alright? She's kind of the Wolf of Wall Street of real estate, and she's actually able to sell a demon, alright? She actually did that shit. She actually pulled it off, and I thought that was very cool to see the tables turn. I thought for sure she was just going to be cut up alive, tortured like the rest of the people who end up opening this box, but instead she becomes the next candidate for the Hellraisers. And one thing I love about all these stories is seeing all the different Cenobites, seeing what their pleasures are, what their goals are, and I think Face is a very interesting one. I think he would make a very good character, maybe in the upcoming TV show, or like I said, just a short story show similar to Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, and I think that's something that somebody needs to get on, alright? There's so many of these books, so many stories just waiting to be produced, and I think it's a waste to not do that. I know all of us who enjoy Hellraiser and the lore behind it would really enjoy that, but yes everybody, this has been Hellraiser, The Warm Blood, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd like to hear what you think about Face, about Maureen's decision, about Brian, and what you think of these tales in general. I know the last one was very short, but I think each one of these has a very nice quality to each of them, a different time period, a totally different story, and I think it's just absolutely great. Absolutely in love with Clive Barker's work, and I'm so glad for the people that he's hired for this selection of different short stories. I think it's such a great idea. I thought it was going to be one long arc, but I'm very glad to see all these different short stories, and I think you guys are too, as I've seen from the comments from the Crusader video. And yes, I hope you all are enjoying this. Thank you all so much for watching and commenting. It means a lot to me. We've been seeing an uptick in views, and I think that's so cool. This is such a big passion of mine, and I really hope that shows, everybody. And I gotta say, I give this story alone an 8 out of 10. It's short, it's sweet, it gets to the point, it's very interesting, the characters in it are interesting. I like Maureen a lot, and I like that she's just a total go-getter, that even in the face of hell, she is able to sell the devil on an idea. But I gotta say, poor Brian, man, he was taken down a notch by the end of it, and this man just kind of seems like a victim of circumstance, and it's very sad. It is very sad. But once again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below maybe some things you'd like me to see. I'm going to at least try to do at least one video a week. I have a very tough job, so fitting these in between takes me a little longer, so I hope you guys can understand. But once again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hate to say it, but like, comment, and subscribe down below. It would help me out a great bunch. But yes, everybody, have yourself a fantastic day.